Chicago Police Superintendent Larry Snelling destroyed Antifa and all the so-called protesters who want to interfere with ICE operations in the city. Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the Chicago Police Superintendent, also known as the Police Chief, Larry Snelling, destroying Antifa, all the so-called protesters, and everyone else who wants to interfere with ICE operations in the city. As we speak, Operation Midway Blitz is happening in Chicago, and so far, over 1,000 illegal aliens have been removed from the city. This is a fantastic thing, in my humble opinion, for the actual citizens, the residents, those who actually belong in Chicago. It's a win for them. It's not a win for the illegal aliens. It's not a win for those who want to keep the illegal aliens there as pseudo slave labor or whatever the case may be. Now, because some don't like what's happening, there's a bunch of false narratives being put out there to the mainstream media. One of the big things that I've seen is that ICE are targeting Black American citizens. No, they're not. No, they're not. Just because a person who looks Black is being deported does not mean that they are an American. Okay. Now, before I go any further, let's get to a video from someone out there in the Chicago area to really give you a real accurate account of what's happening. Then we got quite a few more videos. We got to talk to the police chief and other things. Of course, everything I'm talking about right now will be in the description if you want to see it and hear it without my commentary. If you're on IG, Facebook, etc., visit the link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
All right, so let me help you out with this one, okay? Since you don't get it. I literally live around the corner from where that happened at, okay? And not all Black people were detained. It was just a couple of Black folks in a building that nobody was supposed to be in. Yeah, they didn't tell you that narrative, that nobody was supposed to be in that building. Nobody. Also, that's a building full of clucks. You do know what clucks is, right?
Now, if you don't know what clucks are, let me tell you, you're talking about drug addicts. So basically what you have is an abandoned building with people who do drugs. This place should have had no one in it. Let's continue.
Also, the Venezuelans went through that building and took over the whole building. Not forcefully, but they just started moving in apartments they ain't had no business moving into.
That's called squatting, which you can't do, and they're here illegally. Let's continue.
Also, it's a lot of Venezuelans that look Black. You know, like Cubans and Dominicans. There are some Venezuelans that look Black. So guess what? If you didn't have your ID or no proof that you had residency there, then yes, they were detaining you. Because number one, you wasn't supposed to be in the building. Number two, the landlord don't own the building no more. The bank owned that building. Number three, it was a gang of Venezuelans in all apartments that wasn't even supposed to be in them apartments. So hell yeah, they detained everybody so they can sort it out and find out who is who. That's what happened. So once again, I'm still with deportation of the immigrants.
Exactly. Now look, some are going to say, well, look, the Black folks still get detained. Well, if you're in an abandoned building where nobody should be, and there's an ICE raid because 99% of the residents are squatting and they're illegal Venezuelans, what's going to happen? You're going to get put in one van. Okay, let's make sure you ain't got no warrants. Everything's good. Okay, you good? Go about your business. The Venezuelans, however, they're about to go straight back to the country of origin. But before they go there, they're going to go to some kind of processing center first, or maybe they'll get an offer to get a one-way trip right back to Caracas. That's pretty much what's going on here. No, they're not targeting Black Americans. They're targeting illegal aliens as always. And if you happen to be smoking crack in an abandoned building when the ICE raid is happening, well, you might get detained briefly and then released if you don't got no warrants, but you're not going to get deported because you are a citizen. Now, here is the mayor of Chicago. I call him Mayor Mohawk, Brandon Johnson, talking about he is going to create ICE-free zones in the city.
Today, we are signing an executive order aimed at reining in this out-of-control administration The order establishes ICE-free zones. That means that city property and unwilling private businesses will no longer serve as staging grounds for these raids. And today we are...
Okay, now I'm not really sure how you're going to go about doing that, and I'm not sure how it's really going to stop anything. I mean, they could stage, right? They could stage in the vehicle. It's going to happen regardless. It don't matter what you do. It's going to happen regardless. It needs to happen. It really does. Now, there were ICE vehicles that were rammed by probably the Venezuelans, maybe some of the Antifa, the white liberals who come from all over the country, all over the world sometimes. And there seems to be some dispute about whether the vehicles were really rammed and who was doing it and what's going on. This is going to be J.B. Pritzker. And I think that's, what's that, Major Hirono, is that her name? Oh, I'm sorry, Tammy Duckworth. Yeah, J.B. Pritzker, the governor, and then Tammy Duckworth, and then our police superintendent out there in Chicago. Check it out.
What do you know about this incident? Were federal agents boxed in and assaulted?
Well, we don't have a lot of facts. What happens in these sorts of incidents is typically ICE puts out a press release before anybody else can speak with the press, and then it gets reported on social media and elsewhere. So they are just putting out their propaganda.
She claims that federal agents were surrounded and were threatened. What are local authorities telling you about what they think happened here?
Well, they lie, right? The Trump administration lies. We have a president who's a known liar, and they have been lying about the situation all along.
They are agents of law enforcement. If you box them in with vehicles, it is reasonable for them to believe that they are being ambushed.
Exactly. Now, we're going to hear more from the chief in a minute, but I want you guys to hear straight from the proverbial horse's mouth when it comes to the concept and the strategy of blocking ICE agents and ramming their vehicles.
Use your cars. Block the parking lot. Don't let them leave with your neighbor. Right? Make their lives a living hell. Right? Use your cars. Block the parking lot. Don't let them leave with your neighbor.
Use your cars. Block the parking lot. Don't let them leave with your neighbor. That's what he says right here. And then the crowd goes wild. And then, of course, they go out there and do exactly what the man on stage is saying. Okay, so you got people saying it, they're cheering it. We got video evidence of the ram vehicles, of the vehicles being boxed in, but some, i.e. Tammy Duckworth and J.B. Pritzker and others, deny that it's happening. Okay, let's get to the chief here. Again, they call him the superintendent of Chicago PD, Larry Snelling. Check it out.
Federal agents, ICE, HSI, are officers. They are agents of law enforcement. If you box them in with vehicles, it is reasonable for them to believe that they are being ambushed and that this could end in a deadly situation. And it's reasonable for them to use force based on those conditions. Do not box in any law enforcement officer. You are breaking the law when you do that. And you are putting yourself in danger. Following law enforcement agents around. The question is why? What do you plan on doing? It's also reasonable for them to believe that you're eventually going to do harm to them. If you ram any vehicle, especially that one that contains law enforcement agents, and that's any law enforcement, local, state, federal, county, and you do this intentionally, this is considered deadly force. Deadly force is anything that can cause great bodily harm or death. When you plow into a vehicle that contains law enforcement agents, You're using deadly force. And they can use deadly force in response to stop you.
There you go. Right on. So again, shout out to the Chicago Police Chief Superintendent Larry Snelling. Right on point. So yeah, all the Antifa, all the BLM, whatever you want to call yourselves, all the activists out there trying to keep the migrants. Look, you can be peaceful, have your so-called protests when you want to engage in violence, when you want to box people in, when you want to ram vehicles. Now you're doing something else, and you putting not only yourself in danger, but of course you putting the whole community in danger. As I close, I want to say this. Shout out to everybody who supports these ICE raids out there in Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, wherever it's happening, DC, wherever it's happening. It's a good thing that it's happening because you got straight up criminals, not just because they came to the country illegally, but you have people that were already criminals before they came to the country. In their country of origin, they were criminals and they victimized their own countrymen. Now they want to come here and victimize us. No more. It's time for this to come to an end. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your opinion about Operation Midway Blitz out there in Chicago? How about the ICE raids in general all over the country? How about the words from the police superintendent, Larry Snelling? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. They got a good police chief out there from what I'm able to see so far. What he said right there was right on point. Now, the Mayor Mohawk, different story. The governor, Mr. Pritzker, different story. Some of, if not most of, the elected officials in Illinois and in Chicago specifically are bad. But you do have some glimpses of hope. And a lot of the hope comes from the feds coming in there to do their job, which is to rid us of these criminal aliens. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.